Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Eric Taylor, and welcome to our newest game here on Do Respite. This is Aeternium Gate. Savage Worlds, because I'm running it. Other people run other things. I run Savage Worlds. Dark fantasy game set in my homebrew setting of Emios. I'm excited for this game. I've been hyped for this game. We've been sort of putting it together behind the scenes for like 6 weeks now, so it's going to be a lot of fun to play. Emios is a homebrew world with 25 years of writing and campaign history for these players to get to dive into, so be prepared and ready for that. We're going to do a quick round of introductions. If you'll just give me your name and your character name, then I have a little bit of a surprise in store for everyone. So looking to my left, we're going to start with the one and only Vera Says Dragons.
I didn't expect to be first. Hi, I'm Vera. You can find me at Vera Says Dragons just about everywhere on the internet. I'm here on Do Respite all the time, and tonight I will be playing Peregrine Ifai.
Moving down to Frito.
I am Frito or Di Frito or Pedro, or depending on what you want to call me. Tonight I am branching out a little bit from the combat roles that I've been playing recently, and I'm nervous and excited at the same time. But I am playing as Belmere Thorngrave.
Alrighty. And Shani B.
Hi, I'm Chantal B. You can find me at Chantal B on Twitter. Tonight I'm playing the lovely Sage.
And slight newcomer who, can I get you to tilt your webcam down slightly, Jeffrey? You have settled and you're behind your nameplate a little bit more. There you go. Jeffrey.
I'm Jeffrey. I'm new to all of this, but having a good time. Tonight I'm playing Serge Valin, who's a human tinkerer and junk dealer, and should be fun.
And last but definitely not least, back again on the channel, Jamie.
Yeah, hi. I'm Jamie. I'm at Muffin Manifesto on Twitter, and tonight I will be playing Cobalt Skies.
Alrighty. And now we have a special treat for you. If you'll just sit back for a minute, and then we'll kick right into game. Emios, a world sundered by a trio of apocalyptic conflicts, has entered a new age, rising once more in the aftermath of the Third War. Dwarves driven to the surface, elves teetering on the brink of extinction, and humans seeking to regain the trust of the rest of the world, all while the younger races carve their destiny from the wilds. It's been 300 years since the end of the Third War, 300 years since the Kezrakai were driven back into the Nether. Yet throughout the world, ancient magic is stirring, whispered rumors spreading through the world like wildfire, tales of long-dormant relics awakening deep within ancient ruins. It's a world of adventure, a time where brave individuals can forge their legend within the crucible of fate. Fortune, glory, power, all of it awaits those brave enough to seek what lies beyond the Aeternium Gate. So, just a fun little intro vid. Jeffrey here is a amateur, whatever that title is, video
Amateur
guy.
whatever, that's accurate.
He does a lot of things. So yeah, that was his creation, and my voiceover. So thanks to Jeffrey for that. And we're gonna jump right in to game for this evening. You have all found yourselves, for one reason or another, in Carolmere Mill, which is in the northern section of one of the large Emios continents. And you've all come there for your own reasons, but one of the things that is true about Caramel Mill, it is the last frontier vestige between the civilized land and the wild and untamed Ascarathos continent that has experienced most of the cataclysm and is largely, wild tribes of barbarians and monsters and a lot of those kind of things, whereas the Debarak continent is more settled, although still city-states rather than empires, those sorts of things. One of the things that's always been said about Caramel Mill, and is something that arguably 4 of the 5 of you would have heard before with regards to Caramel Mill, is that the nice thing about Caramel Mill is that you never had to go very far to hide the bodies. So you find yourself in this town, and we are going to open on 3 individuals, Belmir, Peregrine, and Sage, as you roll in on a wagon into town. The wagon is loaded up with a handful of yes, my green screen is green, chat, thank you. My lighting in here sucks, and so I keep vanishing in and out, and it distracts me, so it'll be off until I can get my lighting fixed. But yeah, so wagon enters into the gates of Caramel Mill, and it is loaded up with a number of the hunting kills that Peregrine you brought down to sell in town for, wild game meat to various butchers, and as well as some relics and treasures that Belmir you think might fetch a decent price. So the 2 of you, Belmir and Peregrine, are reluctantly, based on descriptions of your characters that we have received, sitting side by side on the bunk board to this wagon. And if you can just give us a brief physical description of the 2 of you, and then make a judgment call as to which one of you is driving the wagon that is being pulled by a grizzled old, very grumpy rented donkey.
Vera has already claimed that. I am a dwarf of dwarven stature.
Plot appropriate dwarven stature.
Long red hair, beard, obviously, and with me is just my as a scholar and a self-proclaimed historian that's kind of more concerned about the world around him than anything else. I've got a number of research books that I carry along with me, and journals of my own expeditions and exploits through my wanderings.
Sitting next to him and driving the wagon is Peregrine, an elven girl, early 20s maybe. Strawberry blonde hair, very curly, and blue eyes. She's maybe more hardened in appearance, muscular and beat up, but still very efficient leathers. She has a septum ring with a peridot in it, and she's just kind of focusing on keeping an eye around them, because even though they're in civilization right now, it doesn't mean much in the way of safety.
Civilization is definitely a loose term when it comes to Caramel Mill.
Yeah.
Generally not actually one that even gets prescribed to this particular town.
Civilization.
But speaking of things that are not quite what they appear, as you're all driving in, out of the mess of goods that's in the back, a third face pops up, eagerly kind of taking in the sights. You had kind of urged this particular individual to hide beneath the blankets and beneath the various sacks and stuff. But now that you are in town, they have popped up and are looking around. And Chantel, can you describe Sage for us?
Sage is a plant, a humanoid plant. They is very small, not quite dwarven small, but a plot appropriate young size. And they've got long hair that's green leaves and sort of that sage speckling of leaves. And they are 100% looking around at everything. Everything is new. Everything is different. This is the largest number of people they've ever seen in their lives, and they are going crazy looking at everything.
So for our viewers, Sage is what's called a Tirani, which is a plant-like entity, a plant-like humanoid. Very similar if you've played Guild Wars 2. They are slightly different than the Sylvari that are in that universe, but are similar enough that if that's what you looked up, you'd have a vague idea what they looked like. And as your Sylvari, I'm going to mess myself up now. As your Tirani has been alive for 2 weeks since you stepped out of your pod. The only 2 people you've seen in that 2-week time period are Belmir and Peregrine. You haven't ever met any other people whatsoever. And this is a very busy town. There are hundreds of people within its walls. There are a ton of, there are lots of different races. You see a predominant number of orcs, actually, of various skin tones, ranging from, very pale gray kind of Norse mythology troll look to deep, almost crystal color blues. You don't see any green because there are not green orcs in Emios, but you do see a lot of other various skin tones and hues, and there are a lot of orcs in Karamir Mill, but you also see a fair number of dwarves and humans, the occasional halfling. But as you are moving through the town, you are headed toward your destination, which is the Winking Elderberry Tavern, where you have a meeting set up with a local fence/junk dealer by the name of Surge, as well as you have been told by one of your contacts, Belmir, that that he knows something that will interest you in this particular region. But you find yourselves progressing through the streets. If there's anything you would like to look for, or anyone you would like to speak to as you move through, the Winking Elderberry is in actually one of the nicer parts of town, kind of closer to city center.
What does everything smell like?
It is very cold, and so you just, when air is very cold and everything kind of has that slightly muted smell because air is just very crisp, and it kind of overwhelms you as you feel it's less of a smell and more like frozen moisture in your nose interacting. And you were born at a hot springs, so you were in this very warm area, and then they found you and they took you out, and now it has been cold all the time, and they have just kept going north, and it just keeps getting colder the further you head north. But there, as you move through the market square, there is a large scent of roasting meats and roasting vegetables, and you see large open pit kind of street carts preparing food. There are spice merchants with very thin glass vials selling spices for exorbitant prices here in the north. And the most predominant smell you actually get is just sawdust, given that this is a massive timber processing city. So there's always just that smell of like freshly hewn wood. And as you look around, there are just piles outside of various buildings of fresh hewn logs and logs being converted and planed into lumber.
Sage now understands why they should be hiding.
Yep. You do look around and see a number of trees. I mean, you literally look over and you see a group of men and women unloading a large tree off of the back of a like series of rolling carts and begin to saw it into smaller chunks to be processed. Looking around, you do see, however, a handful of other Tirani in the city. Not many, but you have seen probably, 3 or 4 as you've moved through the city.
I'm gonna turn to Sage and tell her to just stay in the wagon. We're almost to the tavern, and we'll introduce you to some people that I know.
Try not to let your head explode either. I know this is all, a lot, but you'll live, I promise.
My head could explode.
Figure of speech, Sage.
And as you progress down, the two of you who are not Sage, give me a notice roll. As Sage, you are plot appropriately overwhelmed with your surroundings. You rolled double ones? Okay. Good.
Gotta
What
get
a way
the
to
bad roll.
start.
Gotta get the bad rolls out of the way first.
That's all right. Between you rolling double ones and me literally knocking my dice tray off and throwing all of my dice all over the room, it's been a great start.
4.
Great.
4. Okay. So, Belmir, you are kind of more casually watching everything that's going on, but at the last moment, you are able to reach your hand out and kind of yank on the reins in front of Peregrine and bring the donkey to a halt. And the donkey kind of skids to a stop as a series of halflings runs across the street and very narrowly avoids getting run down by the cart. And they all kind of stop and look at you. And at first you would have thought they were children, but then they look up at you with, beards and long hair and those sorts of things. And, hey, watch where you're going, all right? Wait a minute. Is that you, Peregrine?
Hi. Long time no see.
Aye. Something having to do with owing me money, I think. What brings you to Caramir Mill? Last I heard, you
Totally
weren't
here.
roaming this far north.
Totally here to pay off that debt.
I charge interest,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I figured as much.
Belmir's looking for you. Well, you and whoever it is you was running with. A couple of the scouts picked up that you was coming by. Thought you were sneakier than that.
Or maybe this time I let myself be seen. Shocking.
That doesn't sound likely, but maybe.
Does it really sound more likely that I'd be caught?
I mean, I never thought you was one who was going to borrow money, so... And when I lent it to you, I was under the impression you repaid your debts. So apparently I don't know nothing about nothing. But...
You said it.
And he glares at you and he says, watch yourself around here. You know that folks around here don't look most kindly to elves right now.
Boo.
And he just shrugs and continues on his way into the alley in which he was headed.
Oh, yay. The machos have arrived.
I don't want it, Peregrine. I don't want to get dragged into whatever mess you've made. Listen, we happened upon each other in our excursion and found Sage.
And I kept you alive how often?
Like twice.
So I'm pretty sure one problem of mine isn't gonna destroy you.
Maybe.
They are small like you.
They're smaller than me, Sage. I know we may look the same, but they're smaller than me and my kin.
At the very least, narrower. But
I didn't say taller, I said smaller.
yeah, they are definitely smaller. As this conversation happens, you guys find yourselves pulled up in front of the Winking Elderberry Inn. The inn is, a very large, rough-hewn log building, like a majority of Caramere Mill's architecture. There is a very old-fashioned kind of wooden door with a actually very ornately manufactured brass door pull on the front of it, and the hanging sign is a young man. He's kind of looking over his shoulder at a woman, and he's kind of got this look in his eyes, and he's holding up just this small purplish blue berry that has been painted on the sign to look as though there's light kind of glinting off of it. And Peregrine and Belmere. Peregrine, you have obviously been to Caramere Mill before, but Belmere, as to whether or not you have, is up to you. But if either of you have, this inn. It's quite famous as one of the nicest inns in the city, but also is a place where a lot of deals go down because it's sort of a safe place. The woman who runs it doesn't brook a lot of riffraff and is a very established adventurer in her own right and has made many return trips to Ascarathos, and the trophies of her exploits are known to hang all over the walls of this particular building. So, what do you guys want to do?
I'm gonna turn to Sage and say, come on. Let's go inside.
Okay.
I will, if there's somebody who would take the donkey somewhere, or somewhere that I can tie the donkey.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That where hopefully things will not be stolen from our cart.
So you are both actually making your delivery here.
Okay.
And so as you are climbing down off, you see porters who move up, and they all make kind of hand signals to you that you recognize as like predetermined signals of these are people that are interacting with us, and that the people who are going to pay you are inside. And as you climb down, they do unhitch grizzled old Carter from the wagon, and you are able to go and tie him off at like the watering and feeding trough, because he is a donkey who is rented, but you rented him a long way from here, and you rented him on sort of a long-term basis. Sorry, and that's Belmere, whose donkey this is. But you hand off things, you tie off Carter, and make your way to the door. Sage is currently kind of peering up from around the end of the wagon as you told her to stay in it last you spoke to her.
Yes.
Say chop down. Come on. These
Said to
gentlemen,
stay
I did
here.
say to stay, but now we're going to leave the wagon because you're not part of the cargo.
Come on. More stuff to see. You'll be excited.
She hops down immediately.
Okay, so you guys hop down and open up the door. And Sage, you are assaulted by smell at this point. You smell the heavy stench of fermented drink kind of everywhere. There is a strong smell of a very tarry kind of smoke because this is the Northland and there's a lot of very sap-rich wood that's being used for burning. That smell of roasted meat is very strong, but for the first time, you sort of smelled some of the spices that were on display in the market. You smell the very different pungent aroma of spices that are interacting with heat and being cooked. The proprietor of this establishment prides herself on the food that is served here, and there is a great deal of spice at play in the air, as well as you just smell people. You smell a mixture of perfumes and colognes, but also the unwashed scent of, most everyone else because of the era that this is.
She's going to tug on Peregrine's sleeve and just say, "Why are all of the plants dead?"
Oh, and so that's important. There are a lot of plants in this building. All along like the rafters, there are trellised kind of northern like herbs that are growing, and this is one of the few places in town where you actually see glass, and they've been set up so there's essentially like sunroofs that are shining to allow them to grow. And then there are potted trees at various places in the room.
They're not all dead. Look up. See? Nothing to worry about.
Good.
Just kind of need walls to keep out the wind, yeah? Warmer in here.
It is distinctly warmer in here. And it's very comfortable. There's a lot of well-crafted but very rustic wooden furniture. And a lot of furs covering the floor and covering various chairs and like old-fashioned just wooden frame couches. And it's probably 1 in the afternoon, 2 in the afternoon. This place is packed. There are a lot of people in here. And a lot of eyes turn to look at you as you enter. And scattered throughout the room again, there's that conglomeration of folk. But there's a stronger conglomeration of halflings than you saw in the street. But in this building, you don't see any Tirani. But
Don't worry, my dear. They don't make buildings out of you and your kin. Only of those that don't wake up.
The way you said that, Belmir, I know you say that I have no tact, but I think you just put me to shame. He does not mean Tirani that didn't come out of their pods. I promise.
Or does he?
Are you sure?
If I punch him in the face, will that make you feel better?
Seems unnecessary. A small being kind of weaves through the crowd and pulls on like Belmir, describe like your outfit specifically. Like, what is Belmir wearing?
I'm just wearing a bunch of leather jacket, leggings.
Okay. So you feel like a tug on like the belt of your, like on one of your pouches.
Yep.
And you look down and there's a child standing there. A young girl, just crystal blonde hair, just piercing delicate blue eyes. And she looks up at you and like, "Hi. I'm
Hey,
Anna.
little one.
Serge is over here, and he's looking for you."
He sent you to come get me?
I mean,
All right, little
there's
one.
a lot of people. I can get through the crowd.
I guess that's true.
Also,
All right, little one,
when
lead the
he's
way.
drinking, he's really good with tips.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if he's been drinking or not, but word on the streets is he gives good tips. So I'm willing to do lots of errands.
All right, little one, lead the way.
And
That's so concerning.
she looks up
So you're
at
just gonna reach.
She
out.
looks up at Sage, and it's not a substantial height difference, but looks up. "You're one of those plant people, the Tern.
I'm Tirani. What are you?
I'm a human. My
You're
name's
very
Anna.
small.
I am a child human.
I'm a child.
I'm this
Tirani.
many. 7. In case you can't count.
How
Can
many am
plants
I?
count? I don't know.
I don't know. Can plants count?
You're 14
And she holds up a
days.
finger. How many is this?
I don't know. I don't know. You're holding up your hand at me.
It's
How many is that? It's 1.
What about this?
2.
It's 2.
Okay, you can't count. You need the elf's help. And
I
she's
am
sort of like,
14 days.
she sort of glares at the elf a little bit.
You're still small.
Yes.
And you have yellow hair.
Mhm.
Is it going to like change color?
When I get old, my grandma has white hair now.
Ooh. You mean you have to wait until you get old for your hair to change?
Yes.
You're very strange.
That's probably true.
Can I touch you?
I would prefer you not.
Okay.
You can touch him. And she points at like a random orc that's walking past you.
Don't do
He
that.
does.
Okay, do you attempt to stop her, or do you just like say don't and then watch her do it anyway?
I say don't and watch it happen.
So you reach out and you put your hand on this large, well-muscled orc, bare shoulders, and he stops and he kind of turns, and you see that the tusks are capped in this bright silver-colored metal, and he has a large scar running from about here to here, and a patch that seems to have been like riveted into his skull around his eye. And he looks at you, he's like, "What do you want?"
I wanted to make friends.
You're in the wrong town for that.
What is a town? What is a town?
And he turns and looks at Belmir. "Just woke up, huh?"
Yeah, we only found her a couple weeks ago.
She's real
We're
small.
still- She is smaller than usual. It's really concerning.
Probably hatched early. I guess hatched isn't a word. They're not eggs. But probably hatched early. That's happening a lot lately. We still don't know where they're coming from.
Is it happening early?
Yeah. This is like the 6th one in the past 6 months.
Well, this is
Really?
the first one we've come across.
Happened a lot up north. Anyway. To be honest,
No.
she's lucky that I'm nice. Might want to talk to her about just randomly touching people.
She told me I could.
Anna, it's not funny. And she just sort of grins at him. It's okay, Belknack. I knew you were a nice one. Anyway, Serge is waiting. And I think the longer I take, the less tip I get.
I mean, Anna, I said let's go, and then you got distracted, so
I blame the plant. And she like starts to weave through people.
I follow.
Children. Come on, Sage.
So it takes you guys a little bit longer, but Belmir, you and Anna are able to get up to Serge. And Serge is, as you approach, this is one of those back corner plot appropriately dark tables where the fire is kind of glinting off of the side of the tankards. And you see that there is a human man sitting in one of the benches, and you can describe Serge for us, Jeffrey.
Yeah, Serge is a human, blonde, not very big of stature, pretty small guy, but pretty snappily dressed. Kind of confident. He's sitting at the table with his feet kind of kicked back up on the table, and he's at ease.
I'm totally picturing Badger from Firefly.
Okay, that works.
With the hat and the suit, and he just like doesn't quite fit where he is. He thinks he's nicer than he probably is on a class level.
Yeah.
And kneeling on a cushion next to the table is something you definitely don't see a lot of up north, Belmir, and it may put you on edge depending on how you want to play it. That's up to you. But there is a large, well-muscled lizard man, which in Emios are known as the Sthra. And you can describe Cobalt for us, Jamie.
Yeah, so Cobalt is very big, like 6.5 feet tall and super broad and muscled, wearing like has this like sort of ornate brass armor, like cuirass across their torso, though they're just wearing like normal clothes otherwise. I don't know if I'm allowed to have weapons in an inn. Would I have weapons on me? Yeah, okay. So I've dropped like a shield and axe across my back.
So let me double check really quickly, just because this
Yeah.
is something we haven't covered in world building. Are you large for a Sthra, or are you small for a Sthra?
I'm big for a Sthra.
Okay, so you're probably about 7-ish feet tall.
Yeah, right, cool.
And
wasn't sure how far I could
pushing
push that.
300 pounds.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, yeah, they are huge, and they have sort of like light blue scales covering most of them, and then it fades to white around like under their gullet and like their palms and stuff. Yeah, very like large and intimidating. And as you approach, they're probably like finishing some bawdy joke. I think they say something like, "And they said to me, you cannot have too much of a good thing." Ha! Can you imagine? Too much of a good thing.
Then horns and tusks, or neck frills, or no?
There's spines probably, like
Okay.
along the arms and neck, but yeah, no frills.
Okay. Yep. So cool. Yep. So you approach and you see there is this Sthra kneeling next to the table, and just based on the height of the cushion and like the posture of the very traditional Sthra kneel, he's still almost as tall as the human at the table who's sitting. It's one of those like knees down but like upright, hands on the knees kind of kneels. And Anna leads you through Belmere and looks around. Your big friends are back in the crowd. But luckily, and she turns and looks at Serge, you only told me to get the dwarf, so this shouldn't affect my tip.
You did good, Anna. I toss her a decent tip. Nothing too extravagant.
She takes it and she smiles and she's like, wonder how this would have been if you'd been drinking. Guess we'll find out next time. You know where I am. And she hurries off to like find her next little like gopher job as she stuffs the Zool, which is the name for currency in this world, stuffs the Zool away and hurries away.
Gonna approach Bell or Serge a little hesitantly. I don't remember you having a straw with you when I left.
Then you will be honored to meet my friend Cobalt. Cobalt, introduce yourself, my friend.
Yeah, they turn towards you, and as their face like comes full onto you, like face onto you, you see that one of their eyes is like split. So they have piercing blue eyes, but one of them it looks like the pupil sort of bled out, and it's like half black. And they say, "A pleasure to make your acquaintance. I am Cobalt Skies," and they hold out like this giant hand. It's like as big as your forearm.
Yep.
Be polite down there.
All right.
Shake his hand.
Shake his hand.
Or their hand.
It's a
Yeah,
big
that's
hand.
fine.
Oh,
Yeah, I think that they shake like fairly like gently. Like you can tell there's a lot of you can tell there's a lot of muscle behind it, but that they know how to control.
And Straw are very much the like forearm clasp handshakes, and so it's like he reaches out his hand, and all of a sudden there's just like this like huge clawed hand around his forearm, and there's the shake, and at that point the other two of you start to move through. If Belmere Serge didn't have Cobalt as a companion the last time you met him, that means you haven't seen Cobalt. That means you haven't seen Serge in like 3 years.
It's longer than I was expecting, so never mind.
Yeah, it's been a long time since the two of you worked together.
Yeah. Maybe you've forgotten my giant straw companion.
Talk about him like he's your manservant or something.
No, nothing like that. We're just good friends.
Okay.
Give me a common knowledge roll.
Who?
Belmere.
6.
Okay.
12. 15.
Cobalt, where is your life bond tattoo? It has to be visible somewhere that isn't armored and has to be in full view at all time by cultural kind of rules.
Cool. I had no idea.
Which is why I'm springing it on you now.
Yeah, no, I love it. Do they have to look like something in particular?
It's that part is 100% up to like tribal, but the base sort of cultural accord, that's just one of those traditions that if your tribe had bucked it, which I mean you can decide that your tribe has bucked it, is not going to go well with other straw.
No, I think
but the more elaborate the tattoo is, the more like the deeper the debt. Right? So like in the case of yours being a life debt, like it's a fairly substantial and elaborate tattoo.
This is cool. I don't want to make the choice lightly, but
you just have to tell me where it is. You don't have to tell me what it is yet. It can also, if you would like, and it would be cooler for you, some of the tribes use scarification instead of like inking.
Yeah, it's that, and it's all up their weapon arm.
Okay. Yeah, so you see the distinct scarification, And you've been up in the northern region enough to know that even if you don't know what specific tribe this connotates, you know that this is a life-deaded straw.
Well, I don't know what you did for Cobalt to pledge his loyalty to you, but it must have been something pretty impressive. I'm sure you can tell me about that sometime. But our recent escapades and digs have brought back some interesting specimens that I think you'll appreciate.
Okay, a story for another day, but let's get to the business of the time. Grab a seat, and I'll get you some refreshment.
At that point, you see a young elf woman push her way through the crowd, and right behind her, like at her shoulder, you see a shorter and obviously, as someone who's been up here and experiencing the local weirdness, an underdeveloped Tirani kind of step through the crowd.
Cobalt like immediately like leaps to his feet and has their hand on their like the base of their axe, but is like grinning from ear to ear and is like, "Is that Peregrine that I see?"
I have so many regrets right now.
I hope you are not here to cause trouble.
Depends on how the evening goes.
And you are associated with this Firebeard.
I am indeed associated with Belmere.
Well, then join us. I'll get extra food. And I'd like start waving over to him.
Yeah, and because of your size, like there's just this massive muscular arm like up above all except like the tallest of orc heads. And this woman comes moving through the crowd. And she's dressed from head to toe in black leather. And she sports at her hips 2 holsters that hold hand crossbows. And as she steps through, she looks at all of you. It's might busy this evening. What can I get for you?
I'd order whatever's plot appropriate at this moment.
Okay, so there's a series of roasted like rabbit stews available. And she kind of looks down at Surge. Don't get used to this. It's not going to be normal that I'm bringing the food to your table.
I give her a wink and just give her it's much appreciated, I assure you.
Aye. And she moves back through the crowd again. And unlike the two of you, even Vera as Peregrine, like the crowd like melts away from this woman as she moves through it. Like nobody even really gets in her way. They just sort of part, and she makes her way to the bar and very quickly comes back with 5 bowls of this rabbit stew and 5 tankards of either ale or wine, as your character would have appropriately ordered, and sets it down along with 5 small cups and a large earthenware pitcher of water. And she turns to Surge and says, "You'll pay now. You know your tab's not good here. It's been a long time since I accepted your credit."
But cash always pays, my dear.
And she
Give her
she extends me pay the plot appropriate amount of money.
Plot appropriate money.
Somebody needs like counter in chat on how many times we use it. But we will eventually. That's the next project I'm sending Jeffrey's way. Is we have 2 emote slots now, and one of them will be plot appropriate. Will be the emote for the channel, so subs can spam it in chat. But she moves back through the crowd again, and as she stops and she looks at Peregrine first. "You're a long way from home, aren't you?"
Pretty much.
Most of your people don't hang around here no more.
Nope, seems I'm in lonely company.
Nay.
Well, except for this one, and I point at Sage.
And she kind of lets her eyes fix on Sage for a moment. And Peregrine and Sage, you can both give me a notice roll.
$11.
8.
Okay, so you both got a raise. As she turns and looks at Sage, just very briefly, both hands kind of like slide up her thighs like they're moving toward her holsters, but then visibly relax and shrink back down, and her dark eyes narrow. And this woman has, she has deep raven-colored hair that has like jets of crimson through it, and it is cut directly down the middle and shaved to the skin on the left-hand side and flipped over and falls to about midway down her back on the other side and is quite wavy. And she sort of brushes her hair back out of her eyes and looks at you. Interesting. Mind yourself here, elf. I don't mind that you're here whatsoever, but there are those around who do.
I won't start anything.
That isn't what I'm worried about. If they start something, just, you know the reputation of my bar.
I do.
And she smiles at you and looks at Sage. Be careful, little one. I think you might be in good company, but mind who you trust. And she sort of like looks at Valen and then at Serge Valen, and then makes her way through again that crowd that just melts from in front of her.
Forgot how much I hated this place. Come on, you. Let's sit.
It seems strange to tell me to not to trust everyone. Do I trust her?
I probably wouldn't, but that's still good advice that she just gave you.
Anybody who has ever been to Caramere Mill just looks at you and like shakes their head vigorously when you say, "Do I trust her?"
Sometimes listening to people means that you learn things, even if it's not somebody that you need to trust. And sometimes people just sprout whatever the heck pops into their head, and it's not worth paying attention to. You'll learn the difference. Promise.
The wisdom of the elves. Don't worry, little one. You're in good hands with Peregrine. I've seen them use that little pig sticker.
You're very tall.
And you are very short.
I'm very short.
And as we leave Sage to contemplate that particular revelation in their life, Serge, you and Belmere and Peregrine has kind of pulled a chair around to where they can be close. You two kind of lean your heads down. And since this is something that didn't get discussed, Belmere, Serge lays out to you that throughout the course of the past year, the permafrost in the north has continued to progressively move further south, and the north has grown colder with each passing month, and you are well into a time of year now where things should have begun to start thawing, and you came through a blizzard yesterday. It is growing to be a concern for the hunters and the trappers in the area who don't, because certain species have not returned or awoken from hibernation due to the cold at this point. And there are rumors that a ruin in the north at Bride's Breath cracked its way through the surface about 3 weeks ago. So Surge fills you in on that information in the voice of your narrator rather than Jeffrey.
So as you guys can see, it's definitely some information we should maybe look into.
I mean, it's definitely curious as to why spring seems so late this year.
Listen, if we don't get trappers and traders through this town, I get no scraps, I get no business, if you know what I mean.
And no one eats as they're the ones who bring the food.
I'm less concerned with the general well-being.
It's fair.
So that's why I asked you here. I need your help.
Do you want us to go investigate?
Well, it's a ruin, and the
Oh,
best I can figure is there's going to be something interesting there.
You had me at ruin. Dang it, Surge.
I know your adventurous ways, and I know my interest in artifacts, shall we say?
Listen, I've been, well, careful enough not to be called a grave robber or any of those other unsavory things. If I will not let you turn my reputation and my good name to some thief.
My appraisal of your talents is purely as an explorer and adventurer, my friend.
Leave the grave robbing to us.
How long does something have to be dead for it to be digging up ruins as adverse to grave robbing?
I think that's maybe
14 days.
No.
I think that's maybe a debate for the trip. What do you say?
And I make
We can discuss it in transit.
What do you want to roll?
I want to make it an academics check to see if I know
Yeah,
from my
sure.
studies if I can
Sure.
claim a number of years.
Go for it.
Where's my D8? Oh, 2 6s. Oh boy, I'm definitely gonna know. And I have a +2 because I'm a scholar on that. So 14? No, 10.
So it's less of like a time and more of a like state of discovery. Like if you have to actively dig it up and there's a headstone present, then you're probably grave robbing. If like you meander into like, oh, there's this ruined building and there happens to be this box underneath an old bed, like that's archaeology at that point. Or if you have to really use major shoveling, then it's more, yeah. And if there's corpses present, that tends to be grave robbing. Also, it tends to be with like intent of what you're doing with it. For you, it's all about study. For like to you, Surge is a grave robber and you're an archaeologist because Surge sells what he gets and you essentially just find it.
My purposes for it are more pure than just money.
Altruistic.
I want to know what's going on in the world
Yep.
and what happened to these people. I'm not in it for a profit.
Yep. So, yeah. I mean, if there really was an earthquake and the ruins cracked up through the ground near the Bride's Breath hot springs, that doesn't sound like grave robbing. That sounds like archaeology where the digging's been done for you.
So what do you say, my friend? Sounds like an opportunity.
Is Cobalt coming with? You know I'm not that great of a fighter.
Of course, Cobalt's coming with. Cobalt, you're in, right?
Cobalt like looks at his arm.
I don't want to take them for granted. I want to, maintain the relationship.
He puts his hand on his shoulder and he goes, "Where you go, I go."
That's my boy. Come on, let's go. What do you say, Belmir?
You're muted.
All right, fine. But what about all the stuff that we just brought in?
The porters
That's an
are already,
excellent question.
Your porters are already handling that, and you owe him a plot appropriate amount of money.
Yay!
I am curious where you got this plant. A person. want to be delicate.
Well, as I was out in Ascarathos on my last expedition, not only did I happen upon Peregrine here, but we came across Sage, freshly out of her pod.
And you just decided to invite
Oh, you
her
probably
along?
actually essentially watched her.
She kind of
hatch.
just followed.
They followed.
Yeah,
Okay.
essentially you watched them hatch. You guys had sort of a confrontation in a ruin, and what looked like a rock just suddenly sort of started to glow and then crack, and then Sage walked out of it.
What do you say, little one? Do you want to come and investigate a mystery?
I was totally hoping that Cobalt was going to be like, "Do you want to come and rob a grave?"
Everything is a mystery.
This is truth.
Correct. And we're the ones to solve it through study and understanding.
Let us study mystery. If we understand it, it's no longer mystery.
Correct.
Catching on quick.
I'm young, not stupid.
No, but you have your moments of confusion.
You're not wrong.
And then kind of like a shadow sort of melting out of the wall, that woman who brought your food is standing there and looks down to Peregrine. "There's trouble. People in the sky are looking for you."
I didn't even do anything this time. Oh, good gods.
It's not what you did. It's what the wild ones did.
Oh, yay, I get to pay for the sins of my people.
I mean, to be fair, if history's to be believed, your people punished everyone else for the sins of their people for a long time. Most everyone else just thinks of it as retribution.
And on the cycle goes until Ouroboros eats itself.
Well, you wonder why there's been 3 wars.
I don't.
And
I wonder why there's been 3 wars.
do you say that out
What are
loud?
wars?
No, that's more of a just internal.
Oh, okay. I was like,
I'm constantly wondering those things.
it's like I feel like if you asked that question, the particular woman involved would like sit down and be like, "Well, let me tell you." But so she looks around. She says, "Just be careful. They know better than to do it in here, so they're gonna be waiting for you when you leave."
Cool.
Like
Ambush.
cracks their knuckles and it's like, "Sounds like we've got some fun planned."
Are we going to make friends?
No.
Okay.
And she kind of eases her way back through the crowd again, back to behind the bar. All right, what do you guys want to do?
Do we try and sneak out? Or do we go out and face the crowd?
Ah, yes, my expertise sneaking around.
Especially out of a building that has exactly one door.
I
Oh,
I don't think you could sneak him past a blind man. Them past a blind man.
Well. So then we face our troubles head on.
Yay.
they're not here for me. I don't want a part of this.
Well, then why don't you wait at the table?
You
Shockingly,
are probably...
Shockingly kind of you to get involved, Serge.
Well, I can't stand injustice, you know that.
Well, didn't he essentially just hire you to bodyguard his expedition? Like,
You could totally just ditch me.
That's
Called trouble.
Of course, my motivation is that I need bodyguards on my expedition, but I'm gonna say it's my distaste for injustice. I have to.
that's fair.
You know.
That's fair. Okay, so, I mean, you guys finish your meal. The hours are waning. The Winking Elderberry is open kind of all night long. Like, it's a 24/7 establishment. But it is literally a restaurant and tavern. There are no rooms here. This isn't an inn. It's just a tavern.
I lean over to Serge and I'm like, don't worry, this will be fun. I have watched her fight before. It is very impressive.
Well, coming from you, that's a high praise, my friend. Okay.
And there's definitely that moment where Cobalt looks at Peregrine and is like, I think I could probably take her. Who knows?
Peregrine just stares back, totally deadpan.
Well, shall we?
Yes, let's.
Climbs to his feet.
Super fun.
All right, so who is headed out into the street and who is bravely sitting at the table?
You all wait here. I'm gonna go take a look ahead and just see what it looks like out there.
Cool.
Meanwhile, I'm staring, having finished my meal, I'm sitting here staring at a book.
Okay.
One of my many notes from my last expedition.
Okay. So you are sitting and reading books. And up comes Serge and you head out the door. I mean, the town square has thinned some. There are less people present. But you can give me a notice roll with a penalty as these people are actively trying to not be found.
Is that all of us? Or...
Not just Serge. He went out. He essentially was like, you stay here. I'll check it out.
What's my penalty?
-2.
-2? Nice. Then it's a 4.
Okay.
Oh, total.
Okay. Are you good with 4?
Yeah, I'm looking for just some basic information. I don't need anything too complex.
There are people in the square.
Nice.
You know that
Oh.
much.
I will return to my companion. Do I know how many roughly, or?
There are 6 people actively in the square.
Okay. Then I'm gonna head back to my friends and tell them, hey, so it looks like maybe 6 or so out there. Couldn't see much more than that, but we're definitely outnumbered.
If we want to ever return to this town, should probably at least attempt to be non-lethal. It's not my favorite way to play the game, but
Do we try the diplomatic approach, or do we just head right in?
walk outside, see what happens, have fun, play the game.
I like
Okay.
your style.
I pat my axe
Okay,
and I'm like,
so let's walk through that for a second. The words "okay" leave Sage's mouth. as those instructions come from one of the only two people who have given instructions. I, as GM, Chantel, will give you a Benny if you simply walk out the door while they continue to talk.
That's the instruction she got.
Okay, so
I
give
was
yourself
gonna get up right then.
give yourself a
though.
Benny, and you're like, all right, let's walk outside, do this, and all of a
Okay.
sudden you hear
And
the
have
door
fun. I heard
open,
have fun.
and you turn and look, and you see Sage just walking out into the square alone.
Oh, there goes your tree friend.
I feel like that might get Belmir's attention to an extent.
Wait, where did Sage go?
I don't know. She just started.
Time to
barking.
go.
What did you say to her?
I didn't say anything.
Time to go.
Sage,
Yeah.
outside, you step out, and you hear a voice off to the side, and flickering in the distance, kind of around the corner and alley, you see just this sort of gold-colored light.
That sounds fun.
You were told to have fun.
I was told to have fun.
Okay. So you round the corner, and floating in the air, kind of, you've seen like there were glowflies around the hot springs where you woke up. You see just this ball of like golden light kind of dancing, and just sort of flickering, and it's gorgeous, just there. And underneath it, there's what looks like some sort of box. Kind of a lot very similar to the boxes that Belmir loaded up on his cart.
Would Belmir have told me not to touch them? Or would I have just casually gone through them at some point?
I feel like you probably would have gone through them despite me telling you not to.
And that's the question, is if Belmir would have, because Belmir encourages
I don't think
learning
so.
and curiosity.
That's the thing.
Yeah, I don't think I would have told you not to mess with them. So yes, you probably did look at them.
Then gonna go over to that box because that sounds like fun too.
Okay.
Is there anyone around the box?
Nope. Just this
Because
flickering
usually
light.
boxes have people.
Do they? You don't know.
Well, I mean, Belmir
You've
had
been
a
awake
box.
for 2 weeks.
Yeah,
But Belmir wasn't constantly around his boxes. He put them in the thing and left.
that's true. I looked after the box sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
I will look in this box and then I will look after the box.
Okay, so you walk up to the box, and you reach down and lift the lid of the box, and
You're going to have to make a new character for next session.
as you get close, the light kind of starts to break apart into a bunch of little lights, and then those little lights kind of go down, and one circles your wrist, and one circles your other wrist, and one circles up around your throat, and one circles around each ankle. And then as it's circling, they sort of like, you feel this cold feeling against your wrists, and you look down, and you suddenly have like this metal bracelet of gold-colored metal on each wrist, and then you feel that same cold at your throat and at your ankles. And then the light kind of dances back to the box, and these gold chains form between you and the box.
I don't
And
like it.
out of the alley, a man steps. This worked better than I ever could have thought it would. Peregrine's new pet. All by herself. Good to see you.
Hello.
I wonder if she'll come looking for you if I just count as square now.
Do you know why this is on me?
Oh, yes, I do. Most certainly.
Why?
Well, because I cast a spell on the box, and you were stupid enough to look in it.
But you left the box alone.
Yes?
So I had to check the box was okay, and then I can look after the box.
Sure. And now, because Peregrine didn't take care of you, I'll take care of you.
Okay.
And
But I prefer Peregrine.
that's fine. You don't have to like me. We won't be together long. And the door, at this point, you guys like barrel out the door to find Sage. And the square is conspicuously empty.
Great.
Did anybody see where they went?
Do I see anything? Do I hear anything?
You can give me a notice roll.
Someone else should do this too.
Yeah, I'm probably
I
looking
know
around,
where
too.
I am.
I mean, you could all four. Yeah, there's a slight kind of glow from down an alley off around the corner. You don't hear anything, but you definitely see this glowing light. You're muted, Jeffrey.
Sorry. I rolled an 8. Do I have any experience with that light? Do I know what that is by any
Oh
chance?
yeah, that's a coin light spell.
Okay. I figured I probably knew what that was.
Yeah, you have employed it a few times in your shadier versions of your past before you went sort of more legit.
Okay. I don't want to alarm anyone, but I have a feeling our friend went down this alley here.
I'll just run down there.
Okay. So you're like, I feel like, and all of a sudden you hear, doom, 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 and you turn and you just see this huge 7-foot tall lizard like bounding through. Short tail or long tail or no tail. It's up to you.
It's short tail, I think.
Okay, so you've got about a 1.5 2 foot tail that has the same spines that your back and your arms and like around your head has. But you come around that corner, and you are expecting danger at this point, I would assume.
Yes, absolutely.
So no drop. But they will roll an 8, which ranged combat Savage Worlds 4 is the to hit number unless there's modifiers against it. So this will hit you.
Oh, so they don't need to hit parry.
Now parry is melee. And then the way ranged combat works is there's a base target number of 4. That's affected by light, which I factored in. That's affected by cover. That's affected by like unstable platform, that kind of thing.
Oh.
And then parry is melee. So this will hit you with a raise. So that will be 3d6 damage on this crossbow shot.
Jesus.
So I rolled a 1 and a 2, and then a 6. So that's 9, and then a 1. So 10 versus your toughness.
My toughness is 8, so no raise.
Okay. So you just come over and you're just like, you literally round the corner and you hear just that distinct like thunk as a crossbow goes off, and you feel the thunk into your shoulder. And it does like glance off of your cuirass, but it's enough to like daze you and you are shaken. But we will draw initiative from there as you have successfully entered combat with these thugs. For those in chat, we are working, and for my players as well, we are working on a better way for you all to view things like wounds and initiative and that kind of stuff, but it is a ways out since we're building it from scratch. But it is on its way and we'll figure something out. But for now, we'll continue to do the cards in front of the screen trick, which has worked for all of my online games for like 4 years. So it'll be fine.
Just as a reminder, I do have hesitant as a hindrance.
Okay.
So I get 2 cards.
You get 2 cards.
And whichever's lower.
Take the lower.
Yep.
Okay. So For those in chat, it's going to go around in the order that you see. Top, just rotate around clockwise, starting with Vera. So, Vera, 3 of hearts. For those wondering, Dragon Tome is our card deck, because I have a different deck for each game. So, these are fancy dragon cards. Frito, you get 2 cards. First card was a 10 of hearts. Second card is a 3 of clubs. Way to go, Hesitant Hindrance. Chantel, you get the King of Diamonds. Jeffrey on Surge is a Jack of Diamonds. And Cobalt, 6 of Diamonds. And the Thugs get a 7 of Spades. So, we're going to start with Sage. Sage, you're standing there, you're hearing the talking. All of a sudden, you see several other men kind of step out from behind, like, barrels and crates and stuff. And they're coming toward you with, like, manacles. And you get to go first. You are currently bound, which means you will have to... If you would like to do something, you can cast a spell from where you are. That would be fine. But if you want to break out of being bound, you will have to... you'll have to do a strength check to break boundness. No, you're just... Sorry, you were just entangled. You are not bound. You're just entangled. I didn't get a raise.
Right. Okay, so this is odd because it doesn't seem like anyone's doing anything particularly dangerous.
You don't have any idea.
No one's doing anything dangerous, and he seems to have been quite nice so far. I mean,
Except
he
for the
said
whole
he'll take care of me.
binding you thing, so yeah.
I mean, I don't like being bound, but
Well, I mean, it would totally be in character for you to essentially be like, I do nothing.
I mean, it's annoying because that's the highest initiative I've ever had, but in this situation, I really do nothing.
Okay, so let's clarify a little bit. You're saying that you are bound, and then you hear the sound of running feet. And as you kind of glance back over your shoulder, you see Cobalt, who you recognize, and then you hear this like twang sound, and then you see him like jerk back, and you see like a crossbow bolt bounce off of his shoulder. So
would I have seen a crossbow bolt before?
No, probably not. You've seen combat before. You've like in the 2 weeks you've definitely seen Peregrine fight like wild things, but you don't necessarily recognize a crossbow bolt.
No, I won't do anything.
Okay.
I'll just kind of sit on the box.
Okay. So you just sort of sit down and Jeffrey, it is Surge's turn next.
Yeah, Surge is not great at combat in general. He's going to hold and kind of hang back a little bit.
All right. That brings us to the thugs. They are going to see the straw, and one of them is going to reload his crossbow. Another one is going to fire his crossbow and get a 2 and thus miss. Another one is going to fire his crossbow, get a 6, which explodes into a 3, so a 9, which is a hit with a raise. So another 3d6 damage. That is 2 4s and a 4. So 12 versus your toughness, which is 8, correct?
Which is now 10 because I was shaken.
Okay. All right. So you are still shaken, as I did not beat you with a raise equals a wound. So as you did not get a raise, you're just more shaken.
I don't get one wound.
Nope. So when you are shaken, you still have to... A raise equals a wound. You still have to have a raise against your toughness. Otherwise, it's just, like, you're just hitting me and it's annoying, but you haven't bypassed my-ness. other guy is going to take a shot and roll a 1. So he's actually going to jam his crossbow. But the last guy, the guy who is standing directly next to Sage, is going to kind of look at you. And he's going to draw a curved, kind of gnarly looking dagger. And he's going to step up to Sage, and he's going to set the dagger up against Sage's throat. Back off, lizard man. This ain't got nothing to do with you. You bring us the elf, and we let her go. It's super simple. And
Are you waiting for a response? Cobalt roars.
Yeah, I mean, he continues to look at you, and you just roar.
I'm berserk. Like,
Yeah.
I got shaken, and I'm just going. I'm wading in now.
Okay. Yeah, and he continues to talk as the rest of his turn, but he's like, my family was at Tronver. I was there when the Wild Ones burned it. She deserves what she gets.
Am I close enough to this thug that I could sneak around behind him and try?
No,
and,
because he's in the back of an alley.
everything? Okay.
So you do have to essentially go into unless you want to climb a building.
Yeah, that doesn't seem very likely.
I mean, I'm all about it. That'd be great. Cobalt, it is now your turn. So first thing is a spirit roll to attempt to unshake.
Yeah, I can use a Benny to unshake after this roll as
Yes.
well. If I
Mhm.
okay. And I just roll my spirit. Oh, and wild die.
And you can
Still getting
actually, as a note, you can use a Benny at any time to unshake. So if you're in a combat and you're like, that dude hits really freaking hard all the time and doesn't seem to have any problem hitting me, before his turn, I'm going to spend a Benny. And thus that will unshake you and thus make you a little bit harder to deal
And
with.
remind me, what actually the effect of shaken is?
You can move, but you can't take any action beyond movement.
Right. So it's bad. Okay. I got a 5.
Okay, so you unshake. And you may
Okay.
now act.
I was trying to quickly look up the rules for throwing a weapon that's not meant to be thrown.
It's an athletics roll.
Uh-huh.
And then you will be at a -2 because it's an improvised throwing weapon.
What damage does it deal? Does it do improvised damage or the damage of
improvised
the weapon?
damage.
Which is strength
Strength plus
straight?
D6, I believe.
Okay.
Depends on how heavy it is. What are you throwing?
I was thinking about throwing my axe at this guy who's threatening the.
Yeah, so it'd be strength plus D6.
I don't know. Can I leap to the gap? I don't know how far away I
You
am
can
from
get there.
people right
Yeah,
now.
I mean, you can get there.
And he's threatening Sage.
Yeah, he's definitely. He has his knife to Sage's throat.
Yeah, I just leap straight at him then.
Okay, so
I just,
we are going to do
leap
an
all the way
opposed
across the-
athletics check here because he went on hold, and so now that you are leaping, he is going to try and interrupt what you're doing by beating you in an athletics check. So you are going to roll athletics here, and you are going to set the target number. So with bennies and things, you decide where you want to stand on an athletics roll, and then he will try.
Yeah, remind me,
beat you.
a Benny is like a full reroll. If I.
Yep.
Yeah, that's for throwing specifically. Yeah, I will reroll.
Okay.
So that's one Benny spent. I need to mark this somewhere.
And then remember, you guys all have 3 bennies unless you have lucky or you have something that takes bennies away. And you have 1 special benny, which you can give to a player for doing something cool.
Cool. The number to beat is 14.
Okay. So that's a 6.
Good use of a
7,
reroll.
8. So he does not manage to interrupt you, so you leap toward him, get there, and can attack him.
Cool. So now I make a fighting check.
Yep.
Okay.
And so in the case of this, I knew what your action was going to be. For future reference for everybody, In Savage Worlds, you outline your whole turn before anything happens, because then I
Oh,
lay out
that's
multi-action penalties.
Yeah, okay. Well, yeah, because I have we talked about this, the two-fisted thing with attacking with my shield. I'm not doing that right now. I'm just going to try and axe him.
Okay.
Yeah. I get a +1 on this because it is my trademark weapon.
Yep.
So that's 5.
That will hit.
Okay. And so then I roll strength plus D8 damage for my battle axe.
And then what does being berserk do for your damage?
Nothing. Oh, it's a wild attack. What does that mean?
Wild attack means there was a +2 on the attack.
Okay, so it was
Your
7.
defenses are lowered. But 7 is not a raise. 7 is still just a hit. But
Okay.
Just regular damage then. And you add
that's
2.
An exploit. I add 2
You
because
add
of the
2
wild
damage.
attack.
Yep.
So then that's 10.
Okay. Yeah, you like just come up and like leap in, and the guy goes to like drag his blade across Sage's throat, and just all of a sudden just takes the axe right in the dead center of his forehead, and he just like slumps back to the ground, totally dead. And the chains around Sage's wrists and stuff flicker away and are gone.
Yeah, and I like look at all the other thugs, and I just keep roaring.
Okay. Okay. So on the 3s in Savage Worlds, it goes by poker suit order, which is reverse alphabetical. So spades, hearts, diamonds, clubs. Vera, you got the 3 of hearts, so you are first. You hear roaring from down an alleyway.
I would like to go down the alleyway. And
from where you are, you can essentially get to the alleyway unless you want to like run.
Okay. I want to get into it, and the first guy I see, I want to use my spear to grab him by the throat and...
Okay.
Yeah.
So in order to get to someone, you will need to successfully get a 3 or higher on a running roll.
Okay.
And then you will be at the multi-action penalty to do essentially the grapple with your spear.
That's fine.
Okay, so first things first, running roll, which is just a d6. You need a 3 or higher to get there.
Okay. Wild die included?
Mhm.
Okay. 4. I got a 4 and a 1.
Yep,
We're
so
lucky.
you get there. If you need to go move your car, Jamie, you can go move your car. Yeah, so you jump up, and now you are there. Go ahead and give me the athletics roll. You are sitting the target number. You are at a multi-action penalty of -2, and then once your target number has been set, you let me know what it is, and I will roll against it.
Okay. That exploded. It's gonna be a 10.
Okay. That is a 6 and a 1, so 7. So you managed to grapple, so entangle this guy, and he's there.
Using the spear, not the glaive, and then I'm just gonna take stock of everything.
So there are 3 other thugs. There's 3 total thugs, 1 that you have, and then 2 others with crossbows around.
Hello, boys.
Hi.
Squeeze it a little tighter.
Look, he was just paying us, but he's dead now.
He is. But you still did it.
And, like, one of them narrows his eyes at you, and he's like, you telling us you've never done something for pay that you wouldn't have otherwise done? This is the frontier. You do what you gotta do to make coin. And he looks down at the dead guy, and he's like, I mean, what he did wasn't right, but his family was there when the wild ones burnt the town. His anger and his vitriol are real, and he paid good coin, and I've got a family to feed. If you feel like it's necessary to kill us, then maybe he was right about you.
not kill. I'm gonna wait and see if anyone else comes in.
Last person on the docket is well, I mean, Jeffrey, you're on hold, but Belmir.
Since my pace is slower,
Mhm.
I'm assuming all I could probably do is just get to.
You can get to the entrance of
Get
the
to the
alley
entrance of
unless
the
you
alley.
run, which doesn't necessarily sound in Belmir's character.
No, it doesn't. So I'm gonna
Okay, you
meander over to the entrance of the alley.
Yeah, you move to the entrance of the alley, and there
Try
is...
and look intimidating.
Yeah, you stand there, and you see that there is a dead guy who has like a straw axe split in his skull, and a straw standing there roaring with just blood dripping off the axe. You see a very confused Tirani looking around. And then you see Peregrine holding somebody with a spear and threatening them, and you arrive quite literally in time for like the "we did what we had to do to feed our families. If you kill us here, maybe they were right about you."
I'm gonna get over there too. I think just at least to the entrance of the
you get
alley
there to the entrance.
as my
They are essentially surrendering, so combat is over. Because they are very much in the camp of, we got paid, like we did what we had to do, and now our employer's dead and we've already been paid, so we don't care.
I will let go of the one that I'm holding and push him away from me.
No. So he steps back and he looks around and he's like, "Let's go home, boys. Your mom will have supper on the table." And the other two guys pick up their crossbows and step back. And they're totally like, they like lift them up so that they're not even like, they would have to do some serious effort to ready them to fire, and they're not loaded. And like, it's very clear they've been in the, "Hey, we lost, don't kill us" situation before. And they start to walk past you, and one of the youngest looking one, like the father has this gray beard, and you can see that there are just lots of patches of like salt and pepper in his beard. There is another one who's probably in his early 20s, but the third one, he's probably 15, and he looks up to Peregrine. He's like, "I'm real sorry. We're just hungry, you know?" And he looks down and he says, "Reacher offered coin." Or, there's no coin in Emios. Reacher offered to pay. So we did what we had to do.
Don't we all? And Ouroboros eats itself. Just go home.
Yeah.
I'm gonna loot the dead guy's body.
Okay. Yeah, you walk up to the dead guy. His skull is very much not intact. He's
As Serge like comes over, I'm just like, "I'm sorry, Serge. He threatened the little one. It was an accident."
I'm gonna give you a pat on the back and say, "Cobalt, you did good, my man. That was excellent. You did right."
there's
You
a
should never threaten those weaker than you.
there's a small pouch of Zool stones, and then there is the dagger, and the dagger is very nice.
Hang on to that.
He doesn't have a crossbow on him, right?
Nope, he was not a crossbow guy. The three crossbows were the family of hirelings. And you recognize him as a just local kind of petty sort of thug. But you know that his family, like he and those of his family who are surviving, are refugees there is a group of wild elves who roam around in the north and have sort of just lost touch with everything and blame humanity for what happened, and essentially just loot and kill and burn everything. And so you know this guy was a refugee, and that seems to have been the motivation behind his attack on Peregrine.
Did you know this man, Bear?
No.
Well, it is lucky that it is easy to dispose of bodies in this town. And
It is.
Kobo, like, lifts him up kind of like a baby.
Mm-hmm.
Just, like,
Sage is
over
just-
one shoulder.
Sage is just going to pat one of the dead guy's hands and say, "You're not very good at looking after people, but you tried."
Okay. Okay.
He
Yep.
said he would look after me.
Yeah, I don't think he meant it in the way that Belmir and I look after you.
Oh.
You okay?
Yes, he put things on my wrist and my neck and my ankles, and I didn't like it.
And interestingly enough, the 2 on your wrists are still there. The other ones have vanished, but there's still 2 gold bracelets at your wrists that don't seem to have like connectors. They just like, it's like a single piece of gold has just been forged around your wrists. It's very pretty.
I don't know what this is.
Do I know what that is? Have I seen that before?
Nope. You know that the coin light spell has various like essentially like chambered effects that get attached to it, and this is one of them. You know that like entangle / binding powers are one of the powers that can be attached. You also know that the power was not a spell that was cast. The power is related to this box that was there. And there is still
That
a
Sage
box.
is sitting on.
Yeah, Sage is sitting on this. But like, so I guess, okay, let's rewind that a little bit. You know that it was a coin light spell, but you also know that he wasn't a caster, so he had to have had a device that triggered this coin light spell.
Okay, so the spell is like bound to this box.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know if I open the box, but I'm gonna maybe take the box.
Okay.
How big
Yeah.
a box is it? Is it
It's
carryable
a
box?
storage. It's like a milk crate size box.
Okay. Yeah, I think
Did I ever find out what's in the box? What was in the box? What's in the box?
You did
It's in
never
the
find what was in the
box.
box.
What's in the box?
I mean, you're welcome to like stand up and reopen the box, like, because you are sitting on it as like Surge comes up and is like looking at it.
Yeah. I mean, no one's stopping me.
Yeah.
I still want to know what's in the box.
Okay, you open up the box, and there is a small bag in the box that seems to have been like tacked down into the bottom of it, and it's just this small leather pouch.
Why have a small box, big box, for a small pouch?
I think I'm gonna take that pouch.
Well, I mean, it's like tacked
it-
into the bottom of the.
Okay.
Like it's like
It's
bolted into the bottom of the box. Essentially, you'd have to tear the pouch. Like even extracting the bolts is going to leave big holes in the pouch.
All right, never mind then. But do I know what that pouch is? That pouch presumably is whatever is holding that
it's
spell.
the battery. It's the mana source, right? Like
Yeah.
if you opened it up, there's little crystals inside of it of various. You know, there's like inside of it. If you opened it, there were. We'll say you do, just for sake of exposition. There's like a small amount of like very lush soil and like a single mountainous rock and then a scattering of like silica crystals.
Hmm.
And as you open it, there's just this like slight glow that comes up off of them.
Is there still power in them? Can I would it be worth it for me to take them, basically? Like
You would guess there maybe is, but you don't really have a way to know because
Okay.
you're not
I'm not really in that sphere.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'll pocket them. Maybe I have like a little pouch or something to put them in.
Okay. Yeah, so as you reach your hand, like you're just like scooping them out and putting them in a different pouch. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotta roll some dice here.
That's never a good sign.
What is your toughness?
6.
Okay. So as you reach down, like you dip your hand down in and you just feel like this like jolt that just runs up through your arm. And you are shaken.
Crap.
But you are able to deposit it in another pouch. But you are now shaken.
Okay. Noted.
Okay. Are you guys preparing to head out?
I think we should probably leave before we overstay our welcome, if this is the attitude that is prevalent here right now.
But we just got here.
Yes, we did.
I mean, I'd take a night in a decent bed over the road.
What is a bed?
See, it's something that you sleep on that's not the ground.
I feel like Belmer's like, yes, an education moment to the nearest inn. Yeah, you can find an inn if you want to. It's up to the group.
I mean, it's
What time of day is it?
It's nighttime at this point. Like you guys are, it's like around 8 o'clock.
Well, we could find an inn. We could find somewhere to sleep. We could all go back to my shop and have a rest there. What do you guys think?
How about your shop so that we attract less attention and less word of mouth?
That's sort of my sentiment as well.
Okay. You guys make your way to the vastly less nice district of Caramir Mill.
I have to dispose of this body first.
It's better done in that direction.
Yeah.
So as you're passing through one of the sections of town, you come across what looks like a bar fight that went wrong, and there's like a plethora of dead and passed out bodies, and you just sort of huck the other body in with them. And then you're like, yes, looks natural. And then keeps going.
It's like a weekend at Bernie's situation. Yeah. I'm just like holding him. He's fine.
Oh, you're just carrying him over your shoulder. Like it's dark enough, and it's not like there's a city watch in Caramir Mill. Like,
yeah, right. Okay.
You just toss him in with this other group of dead people, and then keep going. But eventually, you arrive at this little kind of ramshackle building. You
It's called
produce
the key and bolt.
Yeah, you produce a key and open the door, and you guys go inside. And you can describe the inside of Key and Bolt for us.
Yeah, Key and Bolt's it's small but well kept, and you can. The trained eye would be able to tell that the stuff that's out front is not necessarily everything that's for sale in this shop, and the better stuff is less accessible.
Okay. All right. So, the bedroom quarters, there's one that is essentially like a fur on the floor for your straw companion, and then you have your bedroom. But it's not like you're really set up to have guests in your home.
Yeah, I don't think I was offering this as a replacement for the inn, just more of a spot that we could all lay down in safety for a little while and rest.
Nope. You guys are like, essentially he finds like, brings out like a bundle of furs and's like, here you go, you can lay on the floor. And Belmir's kind of like, I didn't want to lay on the ground. That was the point.
But look at this pillow. Give you a
It's like a
pillow.
really small like artifact type pillow. Like It probably smells not
Has all-
great.
Has all kinds of beads and stuff on it.
It's definitely not the kind of thing you actually want to sleep on. But I'm sure at some point many of us have slept on ones like it at our grandmother's house, where it's just like, why do you own this? But yeah,
I guess that'll do.
he produces an entire one pillow.
And for some reason, Belmer gets it. I guess just because he was complaining.
Yeah.
To be fair, he's the only one who's going to complain. Sage doesn't know any better. The other one is a tracker. Like,
What is a pillow?
Never
I'll
you
get-
mind.
I'll give Sage the blankets or furs that were meant for me. I'm good on the floor.
okay. All right. So you guys spend your evening sleeping uneventfully, and we are going to take a quick 5-minute break. It will be 5 minutes, so be very fast because we are running a slightly shorter game tonight just because we have a couple of people who had other commitments. We will usually run the full 3 hours, but tonight we're not going to run the full 3. We're only going to go 2.5. So we'll be done about a half an hour early tonight because of a couple of other commitments. But 5 minutes, and we'll be back with you. Thanks for staying with us, chat. All right, we're back. Thanks for sticking with us, chat. Right before break, you guys were all asleep-ish in the workshop of Surge, and as the rooster crows in the distance, you're all ready to wake up if you would like to. I mean, I guess you could sleep more if you want. That's up to you, but...
As soon as the rooster crows, Sage is on it. What is that noise?
Also, the rooster is like mechanical because it's just in Surge's workshop. Because it's really cold up here, so there's probably not actually a rooster. But
I was
just
just
like,
looking for that.
yeah, like it's like right above your head. You just see that there's like this like device that's just like, just above your head.
Oh,
I'm
you
gonna
have
get
not.
it. I'm gonna get it down and show it to them.
And he pulls down like it's this metal box that's carved out of some kind of like that's crafted out of some kind of like brass material, and on top of it is a little black stone rooster, and the black stone rooster is like animating, and that's where the sound is coming out of. Is out of this little stone bird creature.
Can they touch it?
I don't know. It's up to Surge.
Yeah, I'll hold it out and show you.
It
Can
like
you touch it?
pecks at your finger.
Pretty
I
good,
like
right?
it. Yes.
Yep.
I call it Henry.
Hello, Henry.
It like tilts its head at you.
Oh,
It's only like that tall.
Can I push like a little button on the box to make it do like a little dance or something? To
I mean, you
entertain
can like
Sage?
touch the bird. Like
Okay.
it's literally like a small metal box that just has this stone like mounted on it, and that's all it is. There's not really a
Okay.
button on it. But yeah, I mean, you can essentially like say something to it. It's been here a long time.
Okay. Yeah, then I know it well enough. I'm gonna do like a little chicken cluck and
Yes.
get it to dance. Nice.
Like its wings are flapping, and like one leg comes up and kind of waves, then changes legs.
I like this.
It sings like La Cucaracha in like clucking.
Music.
All right. I think that's enough fun and games for the morning. Let's wrap it up. What do you say?
Okay.
Wrap it up.
I'm gonna try and scrap together some food. I probably don't have much in my shop, but
Yeah, like a little
just a basic.
like a little like mechanical man comes walking out, and he's got like trays full of porridge. Yes, sir. Here, sir.
The mechanical man is much more impressive than the food. The food is pretty drab.
The food is awful because it was cooked by a mechanical man.
Nice. Breakfast of Champions, everyone. Here you are.
I like take. Sorry.
It's fine.
I take a big mouthful and I'm like, it's getting better, Giles.
Would you like the maple syrup, sir?
Yes.
Ooh.
It goes over and like opens up like a cupboard and comes out with this like earthenware vessel. Tell me when, please.
When?
And there's like a layer of maple syrup like that thick on top of your porridge now.
You're gonna want to mix that, Sage.
Can Sage identify what this maple syrup actually is?
Yeah.
Or where it comes from?
I mean, you don't have that reaction to like the use of plants per se,
Mm.
but
Yeah.
like, I mean, it tastes good.
Mm.
Any for anyone else?
I'll take some. Right here, buddy.
Sure.
You want more?
I like it. It's tasty.
Okay, Giles. All right. Take your head on back, buddy.
You are out of syrup, sir.
Thank you, Giles.
I have lots now. Thank you.
Layer like that thick on top of like that much oatmeal.
She will dutifully mix it up and then just start eating.
It is very sweet and mapley. Okay.
This is good.
All right. So, what do you guys want to do?
As the somewhat organizer of this party, I'm gonna try and get us on the road, kind of get us out of here.
Herd these cats out to Bride's Breath.
Yeah, I don't know how much resistance there will be from the group though.
2 hours into the game. Yeah.
Peregrine's good to go. Just wants to kind of keep it quiet at the moment. She's not in the mood for more of last night,
Okay.
or the halflings.
So as you approach the door, Carter has been brought to the shop, and has been hitched up to a wagon. And you see Giles is out there, and then you see another small automaton. This one's face has been carved to be distinctly more feminine. And Henrietta looks at you. We have loaded all of the supplies, sir.
Thank you very much, Henrietta. You have done an excellent job. An extra dollop of grease for you later. Off we go.
And she you hear the creak as she raises an eyebrow, because you say that all the time, but it means nothing to them. Would you like us to run the shop while you are gone, sir, or would you like us to put the closed sign out?
Let's keep it closed down while we're gone this time. I'm not
Very
sure
well,
when we'll
sir.
be back.
Very well, sir. Come along, Giles. And they move into the shop, and you hear this loud creak clang, and just this big metal plate that says always open lifts up and slams, and it says closed for now. And then you hear as they lock a whole bunch of locks and put this big heavy bar in front of the door.
Hope I can get back in there.
You don't leave often, so this is something they're not really used to. Okay.
Surge, for a junk dealer, you seem to not be trusting of others.
I trust others only to the extent that I can take advantage of their trust. Except for you guys, of course.
Totally.
You I trust completely.
Also, Belmere, you do remember where we are, right?
I feel like Sage hears the whisper of the woman in your head. Don't trust anyone. Okay, so you guys...
I do not trust you.
Just
That's
outright.
good.
They're learning.
Who don't you trust?
I don't know. No one. I don't trust. I trust you, though.
I
You
hope
trust-
so.
You trust Belmere?
Yes.
Good. You trust me?
Yes?
Okay. We can work with that.
Okay. So you guys load up the wagon. Sage, you nestle back down in a bunch of dried goods as you are used to. All the rest of you are walking besides whoever, it's probably Belmere who's driving because A, short legs and slower, but B, it's his donkey. But all of a sudden you just see Sage climb up into the cart and nestle in without being bidden, because that's what happened for the past 2 weeks.
At some point, I want to sidle up next to Peregrine, and I'm like, I apologize that my temper got the better of me yesterday.
What, that you beat me to the kill? I don't care at this point. If this is the one time I will ever say that I don't care, Sage was the priority.
Yes, exactly.
Mhm.
Still, I regret killing in front of them.
It's true. That is the first, like, person death that Sage has witnessed. And it was fairly grisly at that, with the whole, head cleaving.
Sage is filing away the red stuff comes out.
Okay.
That should probably not come out. Cool. Good to know.
And as you guys are aboard the wagon and walking, you cross out of the northern gate of Caramir Mill and enter the wilds, and begin to head into the northern sections of Deborah. As you are approaching the city limits, reaching kind of where some of the roads go off in various directions, there is a figure leaned up against a tree near a crossroads that heads to various locations, seemingly waiting for all of you. And as you approach, they raise a hand and kind of flag you down.
Do any of us recognize them?
And how tall are they?
They are... You all recognize him as the 15-year-old boy from the alley the night before.
Oh boy.
I bring
Sage
Carter
waves.
to a halt.
And he waves
Say-
to Sage.
What can I do for you, lad?
I wanted to say sorry again for what we did. My mom argued with my dad about it last night. She wasn't okay that that's how we chose to feed the family. And he comes walking up to Peregrine, and he reaches, like, he holds out one hand to, like, show, like, I mean no harm, and he reaches back across his back and he removes his crossbow, and he kind of flips it around and offers it to Peregrine, and he's like, this is the only way to show that I am sorry for what we did. I can build another one. I'm pretty good at it. I've built my father's and my brother's.
What's your name?
And he kind of looks down for a second, and then he looks up. Cass.
I can count on one hand the amount of times I've said this, Cass. I'll forgive you for it. Thanks.
And he kind of nods, and he lifts up this, like, leather pouch with quarrels in it and holds it out to you as well. The sights are a little bit off. It kind of leans a little bit to the right. Haven't quite got that sorted yet, but I figure you can probably figure it out.
Most likely.
And
Take care of yourself, huh?
He nods. I'll try. And he heads back off.
Before he
gonna-
does that,
Oh, what do you got? You first.
I mean, Sage is nestled in all of the goods, right?
Mhm.
She's just gonna sort of dig her hands into wherever food is and take out a couple of handfuls and hand it to the boy.
Thank you.
Don't be hungry. It's not fun.
Do you know that?
No.
And so he kind of, like, nods, and, like, you've handed him, like, a smoked ham. And he's like, thank you. And he, like,
Eating is fun.
kind of looks at the other four of you like, is this okay?
You have a good heart, boy. Take the ham.
And he nods, and he heads over, and there's this small pony that's been tied to a tree, and he unties it. What were you gonna do? Jeffrey?
I'm gonna as he's leaving, I'm gonna say, "Hey, kid," and I'm gonna kind of catch up with him. I'll be away from the group, so the group can't really hear me. But I'm gonna
Mhm.
ask him, "Hey, did that crook pay you before the job last night?"
Yeah.
All right, and then I'm gonna give him like maybe half the coins that I got off the body,
Okay.
and say, he had these too. Figure
Thank.
you can use them more than he can.
I mean, he's dead.
Bingo.
And he nods and he's like, "Thank you. When you come back, if you ever want to sell crossbows," and he kind of shrugs at you, and then
I
pulls
can
himself
use a
up onto
good
his
pair of
horse.
hands around the shop. Get back in touch with you.
It's good. I'm a terrible farmer. And he smiles and, reins the horse over and starts to head off into the snow that's beyond. Looking at the time, it is quite snowy out here. The clouds overhead look like you are probably due for a storm at some point today. And you are, based on your knowledge of the area, you're probably a good 3 days travel from Bride's Breath in good weather. But unless there's anything you would like to talk about or do specifically, we can hand wave your traveling. So you can, if there's any conversations you want to have had on the road, you are welcome to have them now.
I can't think of anything in particular.
All right. So various small talk takes place. You're all still getting to trust one another. And as the end of, we'll roll a dice here and see how many days are added to your travel by virtue of the weather. 2. So at the end of the 5th day, as sunset is creeping over, you crest a hill and you look down into the grove. And those of you who are, again, not sage, which I feel like I'm going to say a lot in this campaign, those who are not sage, see, Bride's Breath. Bride's Breath is a legendary location that is where the gods, excuse me, where 2 of the gods were married at one point. The mother god and the father god were married there. So Abenar and Arana fell in love there, and this is where they were married, and a hot spring appeared this far in the north. And legend holds that what brings the seasons to this particular region of Debarak is this hot spring. There is no hot spring in this grove below. There is a solid pond of ice. And the trees around this area are almost crystallized. They're so heavily laden with ice. And as you approach the hill and are coming up to the hill, there's been a temperature drop of measurable degrees with every step that you draw closer to Bride's Breath.
That's not normal.
You said it was cold. You had no idea that it was going to be this cold.
I mean, it's cold enough that it's affecting the whole area, so whatever's going on is coming from here, and it seems to be spread pretty wide.
It seems unnatural.
Can we go somewhere more fun, please?
Not this time.
Give me a notice roll, everybody who would like to.
There are signs saying, fun to be had here.
4, 6, 10. 4.
26.
Okay.
Whoa.
I noticed the crap out of that.
All right. So the 4s and the 6s.
7. I had
The
7.
4s and the 7s. No raise, so just a basic notice. You can see that rising up through the trees, there are crumbling stone buildings that don't look like they belong here. Frito, you got a 10. You can see in the distance, down in those ruins, it is starting, sunset is approaching, and the light is playing in that pastel painting of golds and reds and like light purples. But flickering down in the woods, you can see a soft purple glow kind of coming out. With your off the wall, like 4 raises 22, you
26.
see that purple glow. You also see, we will say that as a junk dealer, you carry like a spyglass. And so you lift up your spyglass and are kind of looking. And there's like a crack in it, because again, junk dealer. But you see that there's that purple glow, but floating kind of above the pond itself is this soft blue kind of figure that's just sort of almost waltzing along on top of the ice.
Something's down there.
Something like an elk, or something like a person, or something like a something.
Something purple.
That helps so much.
Hey, that's all I got. Let's go check it out.
Okay. The wagon is not going to make it down this valley with all of the ice, nor is probably Carter.
Was planning on hitching
Okay.
him to a nearby semi-crystal tree.
Okay. You're going to want to find some way to provide warmth so you don't have a frozen donkey when you return.
Oh, poor Carter.
That's also true.
Give me a survival roll or ask somebody else to make one.
I took survival anyway.
Put him in the cart.
6. 10.
Okay. Yep. So you managed to build and bank a decent fire that's going to burn for a while, and he's been with you a long time. So you clear some snow, and you realize that part of the reason this is so awkward is as you start clearing fresh snow, you hit hardpack. And as you start to dig, the hardpack just kind of keeps going. And you're essentially like looking for like a grass or dirt or actual ground. And you start to realize that you will have dug a snow cave before you hit that point. Because there's that level of hardpack around the rim of this valley.
I mean, snow caves are fun.
It's true.
Anyway,
if you
but-
want to spend several hours
No,
digging
I
a snow
don't.
cave to store your
I saw ruins
store your
and a
donkey.
purple glow down there.
Yep.
That's my interest at the moment.
Okay. So
I
you dig
don't-
out like a trench that you can put him in and get a fire built.
I don't like it, Surge. This unseasonable weather. It is a bad omen.
It's a bad omen, and there's something down there. I didn't want to tell the others, but it doesn't look good. It looks supernatural. Something's down by that frozen hot spring.
Well, it will be one covenant or the other. I'm gonna draw my shield and my axe and have them readied.
Okay. All right. You guys begin your descent down the treacherously slippery slope. Everybody go ahead and give me athletics rolls. Three. 2, 3, 2.
Wow, we are not
8 with
very
a Benny.
athletic.
8 with a
I'm like
base.
really good at athletics, and I still managed.
All right, so Sage, as you're slowly starting to pick your way down, you suddenly hear this like kind of slipping noise, and you dive just instinctually and like feel yourself push into the snow, and you turn and you see your other 4 companions all just sliding down on their backs and their butts down the side of this hill.
Do they look like they're having fun?
I don't know. Do you look like you're having fun?
Peregrine's just cursing.
Yeah, you hear a
Oh,
string
okay.
of expletives. I don't know if Cobalt is having fun with sliding down icy hills, but
No.
nope. None of them look like they're having fun. There's a lot of screaming, a lot of swearing.
Then Sage will just walk. That
Okay. So
seems like a bad choice.
you pick your way down the hill, which means you don't get there until after everybody else does. But everybody else arrives at the bottom of the hill, and you find yourself literally skidding to a stop, like right at the edge of this, what would be the hot springs pond. And you look up, and there is floating in the air above the center of this pond, this heart-stoppingly beautiful woman. And as you're looking at her, it's interesting because, Peregrine, you're looking at the most beautiful elfin woman you have ever seen. Belmir, this is this incredibly beautiful dwarven woman. Surge, this is an incredibly beautiful whatever race that humans have decided is attractive in this world, you have decided is what is there. And Cobalt, you see something very different. You see an incredibly impressive warrior of the straw there, dressed in just very ornate furs and featherwork, wielding a massive two-handed sword and doing a very well-known ritual dance. It's very different than what you're used to. Like, it's clearly a different tribe, but this is, very much like kind of like the Haka or something along those lines. It's just this ritual sort of combat dance. But it is this spirit that has that form floating above the lake. Sort of just, and for those of you, Cobalt, you see that warrior's dance, but the other 3 of you see this distinct waltz through the air. And she turns and looks at the 4 of you. Hello. What brings you to my home?
Hey, are all of you seeing this too?
I was just about to ask that. So, yes.
That sounds like a yes.
Mhm.
Okay, this is a little weird.
Why is it weird?
Who are you?
My name is Istal. Yes. I'm the Loa of the lake.
Why is the lake frozen?
I was hoping maybe you knew. I came back from my holiday and returned and found my home a solid block of ice. And I can't get in. If I can't get in, I can't spread my warmth through the world.
That's a problem.
Yes.
Do you know where these buildings came from?
No, they weren't here when I went on holiday.
Do you know whose buildings they are?
And she kind of like, I can look. I haven't looked.
Well, yeah, that might be of great help to us.
It
Would
gets
you?
very cold the further you go toward them.
Would you take a look and tell us what you see?
Yes. And then audience, Chantel has to leave. We're almost done with the session, but Chantel's got to go. Shawnee, if you will just mute your mic and leave your camera against your green screen so it doesn't kill the scene, because I don't have a 5-player scene set, then I'll end the meeting when we quit. But we are close, but you coming down the hill very slowly feeds in well. So thank you. Have fun at your thing. But yeah, Istal, let's see, it's very cold over there. And I'm the spirit of spring. But I can look. I think hopefully I can come back.
That's concerning. That's
Is this, sir? I guess I'm trying to envision. Are the buildings on the opposite side of the lake from where we are?
So the lake is
Okay.
like surrounded. It's like in a grove, and like the buildings have like popped up in the forest behind it.
It's a fairly decent trek to get there, I would assume.
Yes, but I can move quickly. Definitely more quickly than a dwarf.
I may be right.
Why have you taken this form?
What form? I'm the spirit of spring. Don't you know that most of the gods are universal, as are the Loa? It's how you interpret them that's different.
Then we must allow you to return home. Fulfilling your selfhood. It is the key.
It would also help if you could grow crops. And it's very cold when I'm not able to go into my home.
explain the weather shifts.
Yes. It's been this way for a while. It wasn't like this in Shuye. But would you like me to go and see the buildings?
Yes, please.
And so she, flits off into the distance. She's going to be gone for about 15 minutes of in-game time if there's anything you guys want to talk about while she's gone.
Serge, can I borrow that spyglass of yours?
Yeah, you bet.
I want to see what I can see of the buildings far up in the
What
distance.
do your dwarf eyes see?
Yeah, pretty much.
All right. So you go ahead and look. Give me a notice roll.
Hang on, I'm going to Benny it just because I want to. I really want to see.
We are a few
things.
minutes from the end anyway.
I know. It doesn't matter. I still roll the 5.
Okay. They are very old in origin. The architectural style is interesting. You haven't seen it anywhere before that you can think of. But it's definitely like carved stonework, like hard masonry stonework.
Okay.
And then that purple glow is just there, kind of just suffusing over the stonework. And after about 15 minutes, it still returns. Interesting.
Good, interesting, bad, interesting.
And she's very slow, and you can see that she's very drained. I'm very tired now.
That's not
But I don't recognize those buildings. The architectural style is something I've never seen. But the gate. I recognize the gate.
the gate.
And like her eyes kind of drift closed, and she just sort of slowly drifts down toward the ice and just lays against the ice.
I was gonna. Can I try and
bad.
catch her?
Sure.
Do I need to? What
Nope.
do I need to?
Yeah, I mean, if you
No?
want to catch
Yeah.
her, you can just get up there.
Yeah, I'll run out on the ice and try
Okay,
and catch
you get up there and you kind of like. Luckily, you have like claws, so you dig them into the ice, and she sort of settles into your arms.
I do not like the sound of this.
Surge sending her over there might not have been the best idea.
You may be right.
Is there anything we can do for her?
What do I know about Loas from all of my research and
Give me a roll.
ruin? What's my research? We'll say it's that. 6.
They draw their energy from the environment that they're linked to, and she can't interact with hers.
Which is essentially what she told us anyway. I mean, we left a fire up by Carter. Maybe we can try and warm her back up.
Probably should do that and then check out whatever the heck this gate is.
Okay. Who's
I
gonna
fear the
carry her up?
worst. I'll carry her.
Okay, so you carry her up to the fire and you lay her on the ice by Carter. It doesn't seem to have any sort of noticeable impact. Of course, she's like a blue-white spirit woman, so I don't know what impact you thought you would see. But at this point, the 5 of you are able, if you would like to proceed into the woods back toward the buildings.
I think so.
Yeah, that's,
Okay.
I'd say let's go for it.
As
Totally.
you good. Yeah, as you proceed back, you're encountered by like walls. And they're not full buildings, they're just shards of buildings, and they're cut off at very strange angles. And like they don't look like they've been broken apart. It looks like they've just been sheared. And like you see angles that as a dwarf you know are very impressive to get into masonry this clean. But as you approach, you move through the ruins, you see this series of carved stone steps that ascend up. The steps are about 3 feet tall each and about 3 feet deep on the tread. And surmounted around is a quartet of small crystal pyramids, and then rising at an angle, very much like the picture that you can see on Chantel's screen, are 2 crystalline pyramid-shaped pillars that go up at an angle out from each other. And flickering there in the center of those pillars is a purple orb of energy.
I want to look around and see if there's any like inscriptions or carvings made on the stone that might indicate, heritage or where it came from, maybe created or anything like that.
As you get close, the stone is perfectly smooth. It's just this flat gray kind of matte stone. The crystals are perfect diamond clear. And as you inspect them, it's entirely possible that they are just diamond. On the pillars, on the prisms, the crystal prisms that are mounted there are, at the very base of them, you see these gold rings. Essentially, they're not rings, they're also pyramid-shaped triangles. But they wrap around kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Like gilding the base. And then the crystals themselves are notched at various points up. And there are 8 notches, which divided into 9 segments on each side. And there are symbols glowing beneath the crystal. That as you kind of are looking at it, as you focus on it, it sort of glows this soft purple, and then as soon as you stop focusing on it, that glow fades out. And the pillars are paradoxical in that they get thicker as they extend upward.
I do not trust it. It is too close to magic.
I don't either.
It all just feels kind of wrong.
Yeah, but the craftsmanship, this is impeccable.
Yes, it's pretty. It's also not supposed to be here.
I don't know if I want to touch it.
I mean, at this point, Belmir is up, walking around it,
I've got my notebook out and I'm sketching drawings of the structure itself and everything. And I have definitely touched the diamond.
Okay. Yeah, as you touch the diamond, so the diamonds are the, if you look at the picture, they're those little rivets at the sides. And as you touch them, they definitely sort of flicker slightly. And you hear voices as you touch them. Just speaking in soft whispers of a language you don't understand.
Of course not.
Not even a roll. You just don't understand.
Yeah,
Well, I'm gonna go take a look at the band and the notches in the pillar. That whole spot there.
Okay. So the band is solid gold, which in this world doesn't hold much in the way of value at this point. But it is solid gold, and as you look at it, it has a circle carved out in the center of the band on all 3 sides, in exactly the dead center of the band. It would be if you set a hole saw on it and drilled.
Okay. Can I interact with it? Can I
It moves up and down.
Okay, I can slide it around.
It's immensely heavy because it's solid gold and large, but yes, you can definitely move it.
I'm gonna try and do that.
Okay. You're able to so as you lift it, you feel it sort of expand outward under your hands because we talked about, it gets wider, but it's designed, and as it comes up to a notch, you feel it just sort of click into place.
Oh.
And underneath that circle, the a small rune starts to glow underneath it.
You guys, I think I did something.
Did you just break it?
I don't know.
none of the runes are recognizable to us in any way.
You can get up there and look. You have to be from where you are. You can see there's a glow, but you can't see the rune. Like you've got to be essentially like straight on.
Yeah, I'll get in there and have a look.
Okay. Give me a common knowledge roll.
I'm gonna try and peer at it too.
Okay.
I guess me too, as long as I'm messing with it.
You are all operating under different requirements, just so we are clear, culturally speaking.
Yeah, I got a 14.
Oh yeah, you recognize these runes.
I have
They're
11.
12.
okay.
Wow, we all nailed it. Oh, well,
Except for
5.
the guy that's a self-proclaimed archaeologist, he got a 5.
Well, so that's the thing, is even with those numbers, the junk dealer and the elf don't recognize what you're looking at, even with 2 raises. You know this is an ancient language and you've seen it in other places before. Cobalt, you suck in a deep intake of breath because you're staring at ancient Kezrakian.
Everyone stand back.
So as you're like stepping back, like the rune is glowing and the purple dot in the center starts to flicker like faster. And as you are climbing, like you have to get down the steps. Like remember, you're up 3 steps, 9 feet up kind of a thing. It's starting to flicker and then you hear this and it bursts open into like this oval shaped like mirror kind of. And beyond it, you see a room in a like wooden kind of like log cabin.
Oh, what have we done, my friend?
Should we turn it off?
I pray it is not too late.
I mean, you can go move the thing.
I think I'm gonna do that. I'm kind of freaked out by it.
Okay,
I'm gonna...
so like you're like all of a sudden Surge like walks past and like puts his hand and it won't go down, but you can feel it will slide up.
I don't know what to do with that. Shoot. Cobalt. I don't think I can turn it off, but I can change it. Should I?
Worth a shot.
You have the curious hindrance, right, Frito? Or
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. I have the
I
curious
really
hindrance
want
too.
to
I think
poke
you're
my
both
head
like
through that portal.
or you're both.
I'm pretty sure
standing,
Sage does too.
Yeah, you're both like standing at the. Well, and that's the thing is, as I can text Shawnee, but I feel like Sage is like standing like touching the other gold triangle on the other side, and
Sage.
just sort of lifts and it moves up and clicks into position, and there's another flicker, and like yeah, Sage is in for that. We have it in chat. So there's a flicker and like it kind of like snaps closed like an eye and then snaps back open, and now you're staring at like this city of like marble and gold and gemstones, and you see strange individuals walking around who are just as tall as Cobalt is, but have massive golden wings extending out behind them. And then there's another click as Sage pushes it up again, and there's another of that snap closed and it opens up, and this time you're staring into a room that is just very dimly lit by red glow crystals scattered around in a cave, and you see thousands of what look like men carved from metal, all standing with their heads kind of down with these soft gems in their chest that are not currently giving off any light. They're multifaceted, but you can see there's this dim like white glow in the center. And there's
This is
another
bad.
click as
This is
Sage moves
bad.
it up again, and it flickers again, and now you're staring at a plain covered in snow, and you can see just a castle out on a hill in the distance.
Are these other places in the world, or I've never seen anything like that city or
Yeah,
What?
do any of us recognize any of these places as like places
Nope.
that exist? Okay.
Mm-mm.
I wish I could ask Soul's Advocate for advice. Whatever this device is, it is very dangerous. It is built with Kezrakai magic.
Do I know what that is?
Oh yeah,
Okay. Kobo, why do
everybody
you
knows
say-
that's very bad.
Why do you say it's Kezrakai?
I recognize the runes.
Oh, fantastic. Oh, great.
Well, I'm
What
going
do-
to take an empty notebook from my backpack
Mhm.
and throw it to see if it's like a
Yeah, so there's like
see if
this.
it's a portal that
There's
will
like
transport
this.
objects.
You hear a splashing sound as it like hits, and then on the other side, you see this notebook just like flop into the snow.
I'm going to step through.
Yeah. Yeah, and so you're all standing there, and all of a sudden, Belmir's just like, Belmir looks at Sage, and I'm going to take some liberties for Shawnee, because Shawnee's hearing me and will stop me if I can't, but looks at Sage, and the two of them just like, side by side, step through this portal. And there's
We were in
just
snow
this, like,
before.
there's like this splashing sound, and the two of you are standing on this other side. And as you turn around, it only
Do I
goes
see?
one way.
Of course it does.
I am surrounded by idiots.
But you turn and you see them, they're like staring at you, and you see confusion on Sage's face, and I would imagine abject concern on the face of Belmir.
Belmir,
Well, great.
Belmir, can you hear me?
Nope.
Oh, this is not good.
50 Zool says they're stuck there now.
I'm going to motion. Look back to where I was into the void that is just more tundra behind me since I
Yeah.
can't see the portal,
Mm-hmm.
and just kind of motion towards the nothingness.
Yeah, and the three of you see him just like,
Well,
The ultimate split the party.
here's your here's your adventure.
I think the choice has been taken from us. I think we have to.
Yep.
We have no choice at this point.
Peregrine goes.
and so you see Peregrine and Belmir just, Peregrine and Surge just step through this Kezrakian portal. And you notice with each person who steps through, the light is dimming and the glass is shrinking.
Why you do this to me? Yeah, I think Kobo mutters to themselves. I forgive myself if no one else will, and just leaps through.
Okay, so you leap through, and as your energy hits it, you hear this just in your ears. And you hear deep, guttural chanting that the last time you heard it, you and your clutchmate were hunting down a group of heretics who had started worshiping again. And then you feel this like rush, and you feel like this sharp pain as you yank your tail forward and you look back, and there's like this singe on the very tip of your tail as you barely pulled it through the portal before it slammed shut. And you are all standing in snow. And like as you like look, you see that Belmir is like shoulder deep in snow at this point, and Sage is like chest deep in snow. And you look up at this castle that just kind of gleams in the distance, and we are going to call it on that set of character choices for the evening. So, ladies and gentlemen in chat, thank you so much for joining us for this evening's premiere episode of Aeternium Gate. We're going to go around, do quick outro. That's Chantel B. She's not here anymore. She's awesome. She's on a lot of things. She'll be here on Saturday playing in our Somerset City Supers game. She will also appear side by side with Jamie on Unlawful Disorder Saturday morning, which I will let Jamie plug. And we will start with Jamie to do outro, introduction, and plug anything you want to plug.
That's me. Yeah, I'm Jamie Collette. I'm a voice actor and sometimes streamer. You can catch me on Twitter at Muffin Manifesto, or on my website, jamie-collette.com, or on Roll Society at the Oh, did you say what time? I can't remember.
Nope.
I only know the Sydney time, which is midnight Saturday or Sunday morning.
But there is no, Chantel says in chat, there is no Unlawful
that's
Disorder
right.
this
It's
week.
not. It is not on this week. Unlawful Disorder. We're missing one of our players, so it's not on this week. But
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Jeffrey. You're Jeffrey.
I'm Jeffrey. That's happy to be here. I don't have social media, and I just having fun.
Frito.
I'm Deep Frito. I have to admit, this is my one embellishment. I love how Sage is slowly picking up other people's accents and kind of trying to decide what her voice is as a 14-day-old character. But I am Deep Frito. You can follow my Twitter. That doesn't do anything.
But you can
follow at Do Respite instead, because that's a better idea.
We do much stuff. I'm Eric Taylor. This has been a Do Respite presentation. Oh, you're Vera. Everyone knows you. Check my email. Everybody knows you.
Ouch.
Anyway, sorry, Vera. Go ahead. I usually start with you. Let's be fair.
You do.
So
You usually
not
do.
starting with me screwed me up.
I'd
Vera.
still like to say goodbye.
If you want to, I mean, sure.
Vera from Vera Says Dragons, you do know me. You've seen me here before, most likely. Hi, bye. This has been great. I'm excited. Catch it again next week, please.
Yep. Next Wednesday we'll be here. Same time, same channel. I don't want to say
Different
bad because
plane of
it's mine.
existence.
You'll find out, right? Welcome to the world in which your GM will let you do anything. And I will be perfectly 100% honest. Once Chantel was like, yeah, I'm going to move it, I rolled a dice, and that determined how many clicks it goes up. And the spreadsheet next to me determined what side and how many clicks up you guys had pushed it, where you were going. So you had 3 clicks up on one side, 2 clicks up on the other. That's where you ended up. So yeah, stay tuned for that. It'll be exciting and fun. And poor Carter.
Man, poor
Carter's
Carter.
fine. He's a donkey. Donkeys just eventually leave when they get pissy enough. It's just how they are.
We left him a fire. He'll be fine.
Left him a fire in permafrost death.
He's in like a trench though.
It'll
Have
be.
you met donkeys?
I have. It'll be interesting.
No, not really.
But, I'm Eric Taylor. This is Do Respite. Thanks so much for joining us. I hope you all had a good time. I hope that my players all had a good time. I'll find out in postmortem in a few minutes. They might tell me it was terrible. Who knows? You can catch us here on Saturday for Somerset City. But before then, you can catch us Friday night at 10:30 Mountain for Stars That Bind. Anyway, thanks for joining us. And for myself, for the absent Chantel, for Jamie, for Vera, for Frito, and for Jeffrey, good night, good luck, and we'll see you all next time. Bye, everybody.